The News 3 Now live at 4 on this Tuesday. Charlotte Deleste in for the vacationing Susan Simon. Hopefully someplace warmer than we are.
Oh, I think she's faring a whole lot better than we are.
That could be anywhere, actually.
It's true.
Great segment today. Start thinking up your plant and garden questions. Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company will be along to take your calls live. We'll let you know.
That'll be nice. Just imagine that.
Get to the greenhouse. Here's what's making news on this Tuesday. A U.S. congressman criticizes Wisconsin's governor about withdrawing Guard troops from the border. But the congressman is also a Guard member, and that might be a problem. Rose Schmidt explains why.
The leaders of the United States and North Korea have arrived in Vietnam, setting the stage for a second summit.
And we hear from passengers with what it was like to be stranded in the middle of nowhere on a snowbound Amtrak train for almost 2 days. Wow.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. See, it could be worse.
It could be. It could always be worse.
Let's take a look outside on this Tuesday. Any open water, the birds are going to find it. I'm surprised there's any open water at this point.
I know.
And guess what? Some snow ahead.
Yeah, it's already coming down right now.
Dana Fulton is in the backyard, yes.
Yes.
It is snowing.
It is snowing in the patio right now. We do have some flurries, as you just mentioned. Any open water right now, the little ducks and geese are still flocking to it. Anybody that's still behind. Hopefully most of them left a few months ago. Right now we are looking at some flurries in downtown. It is cold outside though. We're at about 11 degrees in Madison. Our high today close to 11 for us. So we're down to 10 now. So we're starting to cool down already. 19 in Janesville, 13 in Platteville. And we do have a bit of a breeze, of course. Our wind chill puts us closer to 5 below 0 right now in Madison and about 0 in Mineral Point. So it does feel a little chilly outside. If you do have to head out at all this evening, A, plan ahead for some slick roads, and B, plan ahead for the colder weather. Here's a look at our Doppler track right now. Notice most of the snow is northeast of Madison. And you're going to watch over the course of the night the snow accumulation totals to climb quite a bit higher towards the northeast edge of the state, as opposed to the southwest corner towards Platteville. We won't see nearly as much. But we are looking at light snow, again, northeast of Madison right now, and then stretching down towards Milwaukee. They're seeing some flurries currently, too. We have an alert day in the forecast for tonight through Wednesday, because the snow is, of course, going to impact our commute tonight and for your morning commute. We could see that snow accumulation be a concern on rural roads, and then as the wind speeds pick up overnight, we may also deal with that blowing and drifting concern heading into your Wednesday morning. Speaking of the roads, I do want to take a look at what's going on. First alert traffic update. No accidents to report right now. Always a good thing. Looking throughout much of Dane County, are actually seeing quite a bit of green on our roadways right now. So not expecting any major delays for us if you're hopping on the road currently. Looking again where the snow overlay is, it's the northern portion of Dane County and then stretching northeast from there. Also seeing snowfall throughout Columbia and Scott counties. Part of Iowa County also seeing a little bit of snow currently. Along the Beltline eastbound, seeing a few delays as you get closer to Rimrock Road, but westbound actually looks okay right now. Not a lot of brake lights there. Drive times or drive speeds up to the Dells, all green. Same goes through Perry du Sac and around Janesville. We're looking pretty okay on the interstate. 27 minutes from Janesville to the Beltline, 17 minutes from Middleton to Sauk City, and from downtown to Sun Prairie. So those drive times do look fine right now, but we may start to see those slow down just a little bit. Of course, as more cars get on the road and as more snow starts falling. We'll take a closer look at the snow accumulation that we are expecting by tomorrow afternoon in just a few minutes.
Can't wait.
Yay.
Thank you, Dana.
First at 4, a spokesperson for the Wisconsin National Guard said it is looking into whether to discipline an Illinois congressman who criticized Governor Evers.
Representative Adam Kinzinger, who says he is a member of the Wisconsin National Guard, took to Twitter after Evers ordered troops along the southern border to come home. Rose Schmidt is here to explain what happened. Rose?
That's right. Representative Kinzinger's office says he's off duty and has the right to exercise his freedom of speech. His spokesperson called the idea that a member of the National Guard can't speak freely when off duty absurd and not in accordance with Wisconsin state law. Kinzinger tweeted that he was disappointed and asked Evers if the decision to order the troops' removal was politically charged. There are currently 112 soldiers and airmen serving on the country's southern border. Governor Walker sent 24 Guard members in June at the request of Arizona officials, and more soldiers have progressively gone since then. They are in what Captain Joe Travano calls administrative and support roles.
None of the Wisconsin troops were serving directly on the border or interacting with individuals entering the country. They were serving in those support and administrative roles to support Customs and Border Patrol.
A couple of weeks down at the border.
Governor Evers ordered the removal of those troops this week, saying there's no justification to keep them there. After they come back to Wisconsin, they will be released from active duty, and most will return to their other jobs or to school. Representative Kinzinger appeared on Fox News to talk about the troops removal. You can hear from him on News 3 now at 5.
Rose, thank you.
The top U.S. General for Homeland Defense says there is no military threat coming from the southern border with Mexico. Air Force General Terrence O'Shaughnessy told a Senate committee that America has vulnerabilities in the Arctic region. His focus is on very real threats from China and Russia. Senators are questioning the need for the wall and suggesting U.S. troops are being used as political props in a fake emergency.
Specific to your question about is it a military threat that is coming towards us, it is not a military threat, but that's slightly different than the answer of whether military should be responding to the situation.
Democrats are poised to pass legislation tonight in the House blocking the president from steering billions of extra dollars to his southwest border wall.
This just in from the News 3 Alert Center. Police and emergency medical services are responding to a report of a car hitting a child in Sun Prairie. We have a crew heading there, and we'll get an update from them soon. Also from Sun Prairie, the police department is investigating a threat at the alternative high school this morning. A note was found in the bathroom of Prairie Phoenix Academy on South Street. The note indicated the school would blow up a short time later. The school was evacuated and students and staff were taken to Cardinal Heights Middle School while officers investigated. Police searched the school, but nothing suspicious was found.
President Trump is now in Vietnam for a second round of talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. He was greeted by 2 columns of soldiers and Vietnamese government officials as he stepped off Air Force One in Hanoi. Just arrived in Vietnam, he tweeted, "Thank you to all of the people for the great reception in Hanoi, tremendous crowds, and so much love." North Korean leader Kim Jong-un arrived in Hanoi earlier in the day following a 60-hour train ride from North Korea. The 2 leaders will have a one-on-one meeting and share dinner tomorrow, then hold formal talks on Thursday. But lawmakers from the president's own party are skeptical of anything of substance will be agreed upon.
Are you optimistic about the North Korea summit?
No, I'm not. I don't think Kim Jong-un is ever going to get rid of nuclear weapons.
North Korea is under economic sanctions from both the United States and the United Nations. Neither is likely to rescind those sanctions without verifiable proof that North Korea has followed through with denuclearization.
President Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, begins 3 days of testimony on Capitol Hill with a closed Senate session today. A source confirms to CBS News that in tomorrow's open session on the House side, Cohen plans to publicly accuse the president of criminal conduct. Natalie Brand is on Capitol Hill with the latest.
Michael Cohen arrived on Capitol Hill Tuesday to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee in a closed-door session. The committee wants to give Cohen the chance to correct the record after lying to Congress in 2017 about President Trump's plans to build a Moscow tower in 2016. They want to know, did someone tell him to lie? How many other Russia deals did Mr. Trump pursue? And who were his key business partners?
What I intend to keep focused on is untangling the very complicated financial arrangements between Donald Trump and Russia.
Cohen is set to report to prison in May for campaign finance violations and lying to Congress the last time he testified.
Do you expect him to tell the truth this time?
No.
Today is just the start. Potentially explosive testimony could come Wednesday during an open session before the House Oversight Committee. A source confirms to CBS News that Cohen plans to accuse the president of criminal conduct in connection with hush money paid to 2 women who claimed they had affairs with Mr. Trump. Cohen reportedly will also reveal financial statements to show the president may have engaged in tax fraud. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said in a statement, "It's laughable that anyone would take a convicted liar like Cohen at his word, and pathetic to see him given yet another opportunity to spread his lies." On Capitol Hill, Natalie Brand for News 3 Now.
Cohen will wrap up his testimony on Thursday with the closed-door session before the House Intelligence Committee.
Governor Tony Evers will call for enacting a nonpartisan redistricting process as part of the state budget he introduces on Thursday. Republicans who control the legislature oppose such a move and are expected to block the Evers proposal. The Wisconsin State Journal reporting Tuesday that Evers will propose taking responsibility of drawing the state's political maps away from the legislature and give it to a nonpartisan agency instead. It is Election Day in Chicago, and voters are casting their ballots in the most crowded mayor's race in modern history, a contest that's all but certain to end with a runoff election in April. 14 candidates are vying for mayor, and the latest poll shows no candidate with more than 14% support. If no candidate gets a majority of the vote in the race, the top two candidates would face off in a runoff election on April 2nd. Most of the field entered the race after Mayor Rahm Emanuel announced in September that he would not seek a third term. Wisconsin lawmakers say they have a plan to do something about costly drug prices.
Bipartisan legislation today, a plan that targets the middleman when you buy your prescription drugs. Eric Franke is here to tell us more. Eric?
Well, Charlotte and Mark, these middlemen, if you will, they're the pharmacy benefits managers, and these are the groups that negotiate drug prices on behalf of insurance companies. Not a lot of transparency about how they affect the price that you pay. They get rebates for using certain pharmacies and certain medications, and those rebates are not passed on to us. Sometimes people end up paying a lot more than they should for a particular drug. Pharmacists know what it costs and what you pay, but there are actually gag clauses imposed by those pharmacy benefits managers that keep pharmacists from being able to tell people if they could pay less for a similar remedy.
They know what that costs. They also know what their customers are paying. And they know some of these people coming through the door, that they know the financial wherewithal that they have. And they understand the dilemma that puts them in not being able to let them know that there is a better way.
This proposal would eliminate those gag clauses. 33 other states already have similar legislation. Area Democrats Jane Colsty of Janesville and Deb Colsty and John Erpenbach of Middleton are the co-sponsors here. And Democrats, they put this out there 2 years ago, but it died in committee. This time it does have solid bipartisan support. Roth says he recently learned, talking to pharmacists specifically in his district and his constituents as well, just how much it's costing them. Charlotte, Mark?
Eric, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, there's more to come at 4. Amtrak passengers survived 36 hours stranded on a snowed-in train.
And United States Marines are training for a new kind of war, a battle not fought in the desert, but rather in the snow and cold, like you would find in Russia or even North Korea. We'll find out what obstacles that poses when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Nearly 200 Amtrak passengers are finally off a train in Oregon.
They were stuck in the middle of nowhere for nearly 2 days. The train traveling from Seattle to Los Angeles when officials say it struck a tree that fell on the tracks Sunday evening. With more than a foot of snow on the ground, passengers had to sit tight while crews cleared the tracks. In a statement, Amtrak said with local power outages and blocked roads, it was decided the safest place for our customers was to remain on the train where we were able to provide food, heat, electricity, and toilets. Some passengers blasted Amtrak, others were more understanding.
I'm just very disappointed with Amtrak's lack of communication.
They were so professional and so kind, and we really wanted for nothing except for maybe someplace comfortable to lie down and a shower.
Amtrak says it will provide refunds and other compensation to the passengers.
Stocks wavered on Wall Street after Home Depot posted weaker than expected fourth quarter earnings. The Dow Industrials lost almost 34 points, ending the day at 26,057. The Nasdaq Composite Index gave up 5, and the S&P 500 was down 2. For years, U.S. Marines have been training in the desert Southwest to prepare for conflicts in the Middle East.
But now that training is shifting to a different climb, and now they're training in the snowy mountains of Northern California, and for a very good reason. A steep climb, 8,000 feet high up the snowy Sierra Mountains. But this is no backcountry adventure.
Hey, they're squirting to the left! Squirting to the left!
Hundreds of U.S. Marines are braving sub-zero temperatures and deep snow to take part in simulated warfare.
I got a 240!
It sucks, but death sucks even more.
Yes, sir.
It's preparing them to fight in the most demanding environment in the world.
Face the tree line.
It's part of the U.S. military's pivot from fighting almost exclusively in the deserts of the Middle East over the past decade to preparing for climates in other potential conflict zones, including the extreme cold of North Korea and Russia.
In the Far East, whether it's in the Northern Europe, etc., we're replicating that here. And what we're finding is that it's an extremely challenging problem. And it's a problem that frankly, if we don't train to, it's going to cost a lot of Marine lives.
I keep losing it.
These are scenes at the U.S. Marines Mountain Warfare Training Center near Yosemite National Park in California, where combat boots are worthless without snowshoes or cross-country skis.
Hands okay?
But having the most advanced protective snow gear doesn't make life much easier here.
You constantly having to dig or move up a mountain range, so it's physically taxing, but more than anything, I think it's mentally taxing on them.
Among the most difficult things about fighting in the snow is not only keeping yourself warm, but your equipment and your weapons functioning properly.
Kind of clean the weapon, make sure it's all nice and dry. We're trying to keep it dry, but due to the weather, it's impossible.
You can get a lot of parts failures. Things get really brittle in the cold. They like to break. One of the biggest ones that we see is, getting ice in your chamber and not able to actually get the gun into battery. So things that you have to be very cognizant of. As far as employment too, if they set up a machine gun and it's sitting on the snow, it's just going to sink into it. So we show them ways of keeping that machine gun afloat.
Important lessons as the unforgiving cold may become the next military hotspot. They could have shot that video here.
They did in the backyard patio.
It makes sense, though. You've got to train in conditions you may be fighting it. Well, still to come at 4, please pass the moringa.
It's a superfood that's starting to take root in America. We'll find out all about the moringa coming up after Dana's first alert forecast.
We'll take a look at this. Strong winds in Massachusetts yesterday led to downed trees and other damage. While driving in Clinton, the Lancaster fire chief captured this dash cam video of a roof blowing off a nearby building.
Wow.
Fortunately, no one was hurt, but that could have been bad.
Oh, that could have been really bad.
Here,
I thought those
wasn't
were sheets
expecting
of
that.
snow.
Let's take it. There. Wow, that's wind.
Oh,
What, the guy running there on the side?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
That could have been very bad.
Yeah. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
Wow.
Well, the Badgers men's basketball team is hoping to take home another win tonight in Indiana after beating Northwestern over the weekend. And if you're in need of some fresh swag to cheer them on, you still have time to get it before the 8 p.m. tip-off.
The University Bookstore is celebrating its 125th year serving the Madison community. Now, they sent us these historical photos from the original State Street store that used to be called the University Cooperative Company. The bookstore is having a sale on Badgers gear at all locations as a thank you for the community's support and loyalty over all of the year.
Nice.
And that's the old bookstore where the new one is now.
Okay.
And I love the cashier, the woman there. She's in a nice dress. She's all...
Yes.
All right, so
that's cool.
Fancy.
gear up.
Gear up, bundle up.
Go Bucky.
Yes.
Maybe get a sweatshirt.
A sweatshirt, a coat, a hat,
blanket,
gloves.
just because.
Yeah, we've got lots of options. It's going to be a little cold for the next few days and a little snowy for us. We'll take a look at your forecast right after the break. Right now, it is snowing outside. We have light snowfall for us downtown, just some flurries. Nothing too crazy for us currently, but if you're northeast of Madison, we are seeing a little more consistent snowfall coming down. But light snow is the name of the game for the next few hours. Overnight, we're expecting light snow, and even into your commute early tomorrow, likely still going to be snowing outside. So here's our Doppler track right now. Again, in Madison, we're currently just seeing those flurries, but looking up towards Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, we're seeing some lighter snowfall, and this flurry stretch all the way up through the Dells and towards Camp Douglas. And we're going to continue to see that again overnight. Less of a snow chance to the southwest corner of the state, but not really not the chance to see any flurries come on through. Again, that's going to be our trend for this evening. An area of low pressure pretty far to the south, so we're right on the edge of that snowfall that's going to be sliding through. Rain expected for central and southern Illinois, but we're crossing again into northern Illinois and Wisconsin. We're looking at some flurries overnight with light snow. May see a little bit of accumulation. There's that switch for us in our wind direction heading into tomorrow morning. Our breeze will be coming from the northwest throughout much of the day tomorrow. Our skies will be clearing, and by the afternoon and early evening, we'll actually have a partly sunny sky. Cold for us heading into Thursday. Clouds build back in. A bit of a chance for some flurries. That chance starting to go down a little bit, but may see some flurries on Thursday, and then by Friday will be our next opportunity for a little accumulating snowfall to come through. So yes, every day expecting to see at least snowflakes. No major events sliding in for us, but the snow coming in tonight may impact your commute tomorrow morning. The roads could be just a little slick for areas, of course, that are already dealing with those slick roads and icy spots for us. So overnight, our temperatures are actually going to hold pretty steady in the teens. Light snow expected for us under a cloudy sky when it's not snowing outside. Tomorrow morning, we still have some light snow, especially northeast of Madison, and then throughout the day, we will gradually clear up. Temperatures will be in the mid-20s for afternoon highs for your Wednesday. Then we head into Thursday. It gets a little colder. We start the day off in the single digits, and then by Thursday afternoon, we're planning on being in the mid to low 20s for our afternoon highs. Again, a little bit of a flurry chance, especially to the western side of the state for us on Thursday. Friday, it'll be pretty much everyone. So our accumulation totals, that gradient goes from southwest to northeast, right around 1 inch to 3 inches expected around Madison, lesser amounts towards Platteville. That gradient goes a little higher the closer you get to that northwest or northeast corner of the state. And looking throughout the state, that band really dances through Eau Claire all the way to Green Bay, and then the northern portion of the state back down to about 1.5 inches of accumulation. So we do still have an alert day in the forecast for tonight and for all of tomorrow. The snow might make the roads just a little slick outside. Planning on your commute tonight. If you're southwest of Madison, you should be okay, but the northeast areas might be a little slower on the roads, especially if you're going north of the Dells. A lot of reports of ice still on the roadways. And the commute tomorrow morning likely going to be impacted as well. For the next 12 hours, again, our temperatures are going to hold pretty steady for us overnight. Not expecting a big drop as we head into your Wednesday morning. The drop is really going to come as we head into a Thursday morning for us. So overnight lows about 15 degrees for us, hovering there for us for the next few hours. And a chance for some light snow, maybe even a little freezing drizzle mixed in. Not ruling out the chance for that, which of course isn't ideal, just adding on to the ice that we already have on the roads. Our breeze coming from the east at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, we're planning on a high of about 25. We should be in the mid-30s for our afternoon highs, so it is going to be colder than average. Our snow is going to gradually end in the morning. Overall, though, it's not going to be as cold as we were today. Today, we saw highs in the low teens, close to 10 actually for us. That breeze shifting, so it's coming more from the northwest at about 8 to 15 miles per hour. Alert day only in the forecast for your Wednesday, and then that light flurry chance for us on Thursday. May see some accumulating snowfall late Friday. Temperatures stay pretty steady with our afternoon highs noticed for the rest of the work week in the 20s, but then we drop quite a bit into the weekend. Saturday and Sunday will be much colder. We'll get some sunshine in the forecast. That'll be nice to not talk about any snowfall for Saturday and Sunday, but we are expecting a very cold blast of air to move in for both the days. Afternoon highs on Saturday will be in the teens, Sunday in the single digits, and notice our overnight lows into the start of next week will be falling below 0 for our actual temperatures. That means our wind chills anywhere from 10 to 30 below to start off our Sunday. So it is going to be a cold transition to March, the first weekend of March.
This is the snow in Charlotte's front yard. Is that your house?
That's my house. You can't
we need you by it for comparison.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Here, can we? Dennis is going to get a shot of this.
Definitely hide some people in that.
That's your roof?
Is there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's all the snow from the roads. Just piling up.
And it's going to get higher.
And it's going to get higher.
Snow has been going. It's in my
your
yard.
So you're taking snow donations at this point? That's what's happening. But it has been an issue, of course, driving out of some roads and parking lots. You can't see around these snowbanks.
And be careful of the ice, too.
Absolutely.
All right, Dana, thank you.
So a tree native to India that's been used as food and medicine for centuries has made its way to U.S. soil.
Tom Hansen looks at the super nutritious plant taking root in gardens and daily diets.
Divya Alder serves a special tea at her New York City restaurant, Divya's Kitchen. It's made with powder from the leaves of a moringa tree, like this young plant she's growing.
This is going to grow into a big tree.
Moringa is a true superfood, one of the world's most nutritious plants.
People who don't know and ask, when I explain it to them, they're like, yes, I need this.
A proven anti-inflammatory, moringa has high levels of protein and contains multiple vitamins and minerals.
My research has really been also on some of the medicinal aspects, particularly for treating diseases related to chronic inflammation.
Carrie Waterman is working with UC Davis on a moringa project in East Africa. The hardy plant thrives in challenging environments and may be a tool to combat global hunger. Waterman is helping these Kenya residents grow their own plots.
To number one, have it as a food security crop within their compound and then sell to local markets and then potentially to export markets.
Oakland-based Kuli Kuli Foods sells moringa powder, nutritional bars, and smoothies. Company founder Lisa Curtis first encountered moringa as a Peace Corps volunteer in Niger.
I did a little research and I was like, this plant is incredible. Why aren't more people eating it?
Economic empowerment is a key ingredient in Kuli Kuli's mission. The company partners with small farmers in 11 countries, including Pierrette, a widowed mother who was fighting for survival in West Africa.
She ended up starting a moringa business. She now employs 122 women.
Moringa is taking root here in California, Florida, Hawaii, and Texas, and sprouting up in kitchens worldwide. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
And moringa's nutrition levels depend on the part of the plant used and whether it's fresh or dried. The entire plant is edible, and you think...
I think my mom has been using this since I was a little girl. Yeah, in some Filipino dishes.
Well,
so I'm gonna have to give her a call on this break and ask her. You
think you have some in the freezer?
I think I might have some in my freezer.
Well, bring it in.
All right. Well, if you received good service, you should tip, right? But what about when you're at your local coffee shop and there's that tip jar?
Consumer Reports looks to see if we've reached a tipping point with tips, and there's a couple of tips for you. That's coming up.
We have an update from the News 3 Now Alert Center on the child being hit by a car in Sun Prairie. It was a 15-year-old boy, and he is okay. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and police report the driver stayed at the scene and was cooperative.
That's good news. Well, tipping is expected at places like restaurants and nail salons, but what about on a flight?
Well, if you thought airplanes were a tip-free zone, you might want to grab those singles before boarding. Reports say budget carrier Frontier Airlines is now giving passengers the option to tip flight attendants for serving refreshments.
Have we finally reached a tipping point? Leah Linscheid and Consumer Reports takes a closer look with tips on tipping.
From the teenager who made your sandwich at the deli to your local coffee shop barista, more and more service providers might expect something a little extra. But does that mean you must pay up?
Tipping can be imposing.
Coming into the coffee shop just to get your daily coffee, sometimes you feel obliged to tip.
The service is good, they deserve their tips.
In a recent Consumer Reports survey of more than 1,000 adults, 27% said there are more situations today when they're expected to tip than there were just 2 years ago.
Consumers are becoming increasingly resentful about the idea that they have to tip people just for doing their jobs. Like, really? I have to tip a smoothie maker? Or what about the barista at the coffee shop who swivels a little point-of-sale iPad in your direction with a pre-calculated tip?
As for how much to tip, Consumer Reports has some guidelines.
A simple rule of thumb is to tip 15 to 20% of the pre-tax restaurant tab. Don't tip less than 15%. If the server was rude or offensive, speak to the manager, but don't stiff the server.
Another finding from CR's survey on tipping, 46% of Americans say they favor a system that would do away with tipping altogether and instead charge higher prices. A remedy promoted by restaurateur Danny Meyer, the founder of Shake Shack. But how do customers feel about paying higher prices in exchange of not having to tip?
I think that if tips were included on the check like they do in many other countries, it would be easier.
I would not be willing to pay higher prices if tipping was included in the service.
I do like when the tip is included. It's kind of like a no-hassle deal.
For News 3 Now, this is Leah Linscheid.
And if you're looking for some tools to help, apps such as Tab, Settle Up, and Plates let you split tabs or keep track of who owes what.
It's a good idea. To see CR's complete list of recommended service providers to tip and the amount, you can want to check out their full report on consumerreports.org. Up next at 4, it is time to get your plant and garden questions answered.
A woman who always accepts tips, Lisa Briggs, standing by live at the Briggs Company in Middleton. 270-9933, the number to call. Hi, Lisa.
Hello. You guys ready for spring?
We are ready. We'll get to your questions in a minute.
Okay.
We're looking at the Beltline right now, right near Todd Drive. As you can see, we have a few delays on each side, though. Of course, westbound seems to be rolling along just a little smoother. As far as the rest of Dane County, quite a bit of green, actually, even looking down towards Platteville. No major delays, and as usual, no major accidents, which is good news. You can see, though, that snowfall really stretching northeast of Madison, up towards Watertown, Fond du Lac. We're seeing a little lighter snow, or more consistent snow, rather than just these flurries. And that's going to be the trend for tonight, so I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a little bit of a slowdown stretching northeast of Madison. Again, drive times westbound, or speeds westbound, seem to be okay on the Beltline. Eastbound, we are seeing quite a few delays in the usual spots, but traffic is still at least moving. Stock County looks good, as does Columbia County. Looking down towards Janesville and Rock County, not too bad right now, and your drive times will take you just about 27 minutes to get from Janesville to the Beltline. Middleton to Sauk City, 22 minutes, so a little slower to go westbound from Middleton to Sauk City, and then downtown to Sun Prairie, about 19 minutes. Also taking a look from Verona to the Beltline, about 6 minutes, 7 minutes from Oregon to the Beltline, and then Springfield to University Avenue. Eastbound, just about 4 minutes. That's a quick look at traffic.
Dana, thank you. A couple in California recently built a replica of the iconic VW light bus made famous by its appearance at Woodstock. The artist who painted the original bus led a team to restore the art to the replica. The bus is set to make an appearance at the 50th anniversary of the famous festival later this year.
That is cool, isn't it?
That is awesome.
All right, it's time to get your plant and garden questions answered. Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company is standing by. The number is 270-9933, and we are waiting for some calls to clear, so we'll get to those in a minute. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, how are you guys today?
Great. You know, we had a call on the noon show the other day. People worried about the ice and the snow on the plants. Is it safe to get, you know, if like an arborvitae or evergreen, if they're being weighted down by all this?
Snow is usually fine, especially the things that are low, because it acts as a great blanket. If it's landing on, say, arborvitae or plants that are prone to split, I would get like the business end of a broom and kind of go up with it and knock some of that heavier snow off. You don't want to smash down, but you want to use an upward motion. And a broom or a plastic rake will work really well. You want to just be gentle with it. As far as the ice is concerned, there's not a whole lot you can do about it because it's heavy. We were lucky over the weekend that we had that warm weather and all the ice melted before it got super windy.
Lisa, I have a question for you. I'm trying to get plants back into my house, and I was starting with a succulent because I heard that those are really hard to kill, but apparently I'm doing a good job not keeping them alive. So you're not supposed to water them that often, right? That's what the beauty of succulents are, right?
Well, the thing with succulents is that they like really, really high light, way higher light than most people think. And they also like temperatures to be a little bit on the cooler side, which is sort of contrary to what you might think. And then the watering, though, is really key. I always say that for the diameter of the pot, like this is like a 6-inch pot, you want to wait about a week to 10 days between watering for every inch, especially at this time of year. Plants are super dormant and they're not really utilizing very much water or nutrients or anything like that that's in the soil. So if you're watering your succulent and it's a nice size and you're giving it, you know, soaking it down every couple weeks, you're overwatering.
Ah,
yeah, I think most people overwater.
That's probably my
I think more
problem.
people are overwaters than underwaters. If you put your finger in the soil with a succulent or any kind of cactus, you want to feel that it's dry, you know, down pretty deep. You want it to dry thoroughly between watering.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go to the phones. We'll start with Ellie from Madison. Hi, Ellie. What's your question?
Well, I had a Swedish ivy I called about a long time ago, and it died. And there was a lot of fruit flies, or they looked like fruit flies around the dirt, even though I had used good soil.
So you
Well,
want
without seeing the flies, it could be a couple of things. It could be fungus gnats, which are just feeding on material in the soil that's breaking down. And you'll see a lot of those at this time of year. The other thing it could have been would be whitefly, which is a sort of a piercing, sucking insect that's going to do some damage. So if you start noticing insects around your plants, get a systemic insecticide And that's a good idea for houseplants in general this time of year. Now is the time where you're going to start seeing problems that maybe came in the house after the summer kind of start to build up, and populations will get out of control. So you just want to get like a little systemic insecticide capsule. You can put it right in the soil. The number of them will be based on the size of the plant, and that will take care of a lot of those insect houseplant issues.
But the bugs didn't kill the plant.
It depends on what kind of bugs she had. If they were fungus gnats, no. If they were whiteflies, yes. It could have been at least a cause.
Okay.
Who's on line 1 here? I can't see.
Let's see. That's
Because the caller, the lilac, no, go to this one here. Okay, Shanta from Madison. Hi, what's your question?
Hi, I have a good plant, and like a couple months ago, the flowers fell off. I was wondering if it's dead or if it's going to grow back the flowers.
What kind of plant was it?
Yeah.
Orchid.
Oh, an orchid.
Oh, an orchid? No, orchids will not reflower on that space. I'm just going to turn here and grab one. So this is a moth orchid, or Phalaenopsis, and this is probably the most common flowers as far as orchids. So you'll see like there are all these little individual flowers on this stem. And once these fall off, they won't reflower on this part. But if you cut it back to the next, there's a little swollen node here, and you cut it just above that, a lot of times a new flower stem will come from this place and give you another set of flowers.
Okay.
Once you're done with that, then you just are going to take that all the way back to the base of the plant. And then depending on how you're fertilizing it, what kind of lighting it is, Phalaenopsis are really easy to get to re-spike.
And those flowers last forever, too. They're beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Lisa, well, we're out of time. Thank you, everyone, for calling in. We'll get to your questions next time.
Lisa, thank you.
We'll have a final check.
You're very welcome.
Final check of your forecast coming up. So if you're heading north and east,
yes.
maybe some trouble traveling.
Yes. On the roads especially, there's a winter weather advisory north and east of Dane County overnight and into Wednesday morning, because that area will be seeing just a little more consistent snowfall for us. Right now in Madison, we just have some flurries. Notice the snow stretches all the way through central Wisconsin. Right now it's 10 in Madison, but it feels closer to 5 below. So it is very chilly outside because of the cooler air and the snow threat for us overnight. We do still have that alert day in the forecast for tonight and for Wednesday, anywhere from an
inch to 3 inches expected around the Madison area for us in the next 12 hours or so.
More snow for your pile.
Yay.
Great. Thanks. Thanks so much.
Just a little more.
All right. Tomorrow Live at 4, a UW professor tells us what we can expect to come out of this week's summit with North Korea.
And is the winter wearing you down? We'll get some expert advice on how to weather this weather. That's tomorrow on Live at 4.